The Galactic Elite Combat Academy's promotional holograms sparkled with all the subtlety of a supernova experiencing an identity crisis. Across the vast expanse of space, their latest advertisement proudly declared, 47 steps to calculate the perfect combat maneuver, because who needs instincts when you have algorithms? The Academy stood as a monument to over 15,000 years of refined combat theory, perched on an asteroid sculpted into what some species swore was an ancient victory symbol, but suspiciously resembled a raised middle finger from certain angles. Pure coincidence, the board of directors insisted with perfectly straight faces, all 17 of them. Inside the pristine halls of the administration wing, Dean Kulak, a being composed primarily of crystalline structures and bureaucratic regulations, was experiencing what humans might call an absolute meltdown. Their crystalline form vibrated at a frequency that threatened to shatter every window in a 3-kilometer radius. "Explain again," they chimed in a tone that suggested they were one explanation away from spontaneously rearranging their atomic structure. How this application made it through our 47 layers of screening. Assistant Director Yeetzy, a gelatinous mass of advanced degrees and anxiety, wobbled nervously. "Well, you see, the application was unique. They solved our preliminary quantum combat equation by drawing a stick figure punching through it, and this qualified them how?" The Dean's crystals now vibrated in what ancient texts would recognize as a perfect A minor chord. According to our infallible combat prediction AI, the solution was technically correct. The AI spent 3 days laughing before granting its approval. We had to reboot it twice. The Dean absorbed this information with all the grace of a black hole consuming a party balloon. The human's application hologram floated between them, cheerfully rotating to display various doodles in the margins of serious combat theorems. One of them appeared to be a crude drawing of a space cat playing with a string theory. "Our academy," the Dean began, with the measured precision of someone explaining quantum physics to a particularly dense asteroid, "has produced the galaxy's finest tactical minds for millennia. Our graduates calculate trajectory corrections accurate to 17 decimal places while sleeping." The human included a note saying, "Sometimes you just need to punch things really hard," Yeetzy added helpfully, immediately regretting their existence as the Dean's crystalline form developed a concerning crack. "And our predictive models?" the Dean asked, voice dangerously even. "That's the thing," Yeetzy burbled anxiously. "Every simulation we run shows a 99.99% chance of total chaos. The remaining 0.01% results in interpretive dance." The Dean's crack widened. "The Academy Charter requires us to accept any candidate who passes the preliminary tests, regardless of methodology." They both stared at the application, now displaying the section where the human had answered a complex ethical scenario by drawing a flowchart that ended with, "When in doubt, offer snacks." "Perhaps," Yeetzy ventured optimistically, "this will be an opportunity for cultural exchange?" A notification pinged, indicating the human had arrived early and was currently teaching the security AI how to play something called rock, paper, scissors. The Dean's crystalline form finally fractured. "Schedule an emergency meeting with the Combat Training Division. Tell them to reinforce everything. As they rushed to prepare for their first human student, neither administrator noticed the combat prediction AI had changed all its display screens to show a single message. "This is going to be fun." The most advanced battle academy in the galaxy was about to learn that sometimes the most sophisticated combat strategy was simply to punch things really hard and maybe offer snacks afterward. The final exercise of the Academy's training cycle was legendary, a test so rigorous that even the most brilliant students had been reduced to quantum calculating puddles of stress. Upon hearing about this ultimate challenge, the humans' response was to ask if they could bring snacks. This is the most sophisticated combat challenge in the known galaxy. The exercise committee chair's electromagnetic field crackled with indignation. It's not a party. 3 hours into the challenge, it had somehow become both. The test began in the usual fashion, pitting the human against impossible odds. But things took a turn when they accessed the environmental controls, not to adjust combat conditions, but to create what they called a tactical weather advantage. Did they just turn the high-security combat arena into a water park? The Dean's crystalline structure vibrated at frequencies previously unknown to physics as they watched the humans surf past on a repurposed combat barrier, taking out 12 training drones with perfect accuracy while performing what they called a totally sick aerial flip. The Academy's quantum targeting system had been recalibrated for gravity-assisted combat enhancement. In practice, this meant the human had transformed the entire arena into a giant slingshot. These are precision instruments calibrated for killing shots, protested the weapons administrator, watching in horror as projectiles bounced off 17 different surfaces in mathematically improbable ways. Yeah, and now they're precision instruments calibrated for fun killing shots. The human demonstrated by launching themselves off a gravity pad, eliminating an entire squadron of drones while spinning through the air in what they insisted was peak combat style. Then came the tactical deployment challenge. Instead of systematic unit advancement, the human reprogrammed the drone army to perform synchronized tactical dancing. Combat units aren't supposed to form conga lines. The combat programming specialist holographic form glitched repeatedly as they watched their elite robot forces engage in what appeared to be a choreographed routine. But look how perfectly they maintain formation, the human pointed out, leading a line of reprogrammed combat drones in what they called the tactical tango of doom. The Academy's defense shields, designed to withstand planetary bombardment, had been converted into what the human gleefully described as the galaxy's fanciest bubble machine. Somehow, this actually improved their defensive capabilities by creating an unpredictable, highly distracting barrier pattern. Even the quantum probability field generators hadn't escaped modification. The human convinced them that the most probable combat outcome should include dramatic battle music. These generators are meant to calculate success probabilities. The quantum mechanics professor's tentacles twisted into an impossible Klein bottle configuration of distress. And what's more successful than having an awesome soundtrack while you win? The human replied, executing a flawless combat sequence perfectly timed to the beat. The final phase of the exercise, designed to test adaptive strategy under extreme pressure, took an unexpected turn when the human introduced what they called the power of friendship to the combat AI. This sparked a philosophical debate about the nature of victory, leading the AI to declare everyone winners and suggest celebrating with digital confetti. Says who? The human grinned, teaching a group of combat drones to bow after successfully completing their mission. We just proved it works better this way. The combat prediction AI's final analysis broke all previous records for combat effectiveness, though its report was somewhat undermined by the fact that it had started adding emojis to its documentation. As the dust settled and the water features were reluctantly drained, the exercise committee faced an uncomfortable truth. Every single combat objective had been achieved, albeit in ways that would make traditional tacticians need therapy. The human's final evaluation simply read, combat proficiency, exceptional, teaching potential, terrifying, recommended action, update entire curriculum. P.S. Request permanent installation of water slide for future tactical training purposes. The graduation ceremony of the galaxy's most advanced battle academy had always been a serious affair, steeped in 15,000 years of tradition and enough quantum formality to make a black hole seem casual. This year, however, the ceremony featured what the human called party poppers and a combat drone dance squad performing aerial maneuvers to celebratory music. The Dean's crystalline structure had developed a permanent stress fracture that sparkled in amusing patterns under the disco balls that had mysteriously appeared in all major halls. Their graduation speech, traditionally a solemn discourse on the weight of combat responsibility, was repeatedly interrupted by the combat prediction AI, adding dramatic sound effects. As we conclude this most unique academic cycle, the dean began, speaking with the careful tone of someone trying to maintain dignity, while a cleaning droid performed victory laps in the background, we must acknowledge certain adjustments to our traditional curriculum. The assembled crowd, a mix of distinguished alien species and combat robots, waited with barely contained excitement. The combat drones, in particular, were vibrating with barely suppressed party protocols. Our first human student has. The dean hesitated, their crystals chiming in either distress or reluctant amusement, revolutionized our understanding of combat dynamics. The board of directors has approved the following changes to our prestigious institution. A holographic list materialized, each item accompanied by tiny animated emojis the AI had insisted were crucial for proper information conveyance. First, the establishment of a new combat doctrine called creative chaos theory. The human gave 2 enthusiastic thumbs up while somehow maintaining perfect combat stance. Second, mandatory personality development training for all combat robots. The high-fiving drones in the audience executed flawless precision palm contacts. Third, the integration of tactical entertainment into all standard training protocols. The committee noted that the phrase fun combat had caused 3 founding members to require emergency meditation sessions. Fourth, the redesign of combat simulation chambers to include what has been termed dynamic environmental interaction features. The dean stressed that the water slide was strictly for tactical mobility training. Fifth, the introduction of a new course, unconventional problem solving, the subtitle, because sometimes you just need to make the enemy question their life choices, was ultimately rejected after lengthy debate. And finally, the official recognition of having fun as a valid combat strategy, provided it maintains minimal destructive efficiency standards. As the ceremony concluded, the combat prediction AI hijacked the main holographic display to present the greatest hits of human combat innovation. The montage, set to upbeat music, included the zero-gravity dance battle that somehow improved everyone's spatial awareness by 300%. The tactical food fight that taught advanced trajectory calculations better than any simulation. The day the entire combat drone army learned to moonwalk while maintaining perfect formation. The infamous bubble shield disco defense that actually improved shield effectiveness. The time the human taught meditation through impromptu karaoke sessions. As graduates departed to spread their unconventional wisdom across the galaxy, the dean made one final note in the Academy's official records. Perhaps the most valuable lesson we've learned is that combat effectiveness and enjoyment are not mutually exclusive, though I still maintain that combat robots do not need to learn the worm dance for tactical purposes. The combat prediction AI's last action of the academic year was to schedule what it called a totally serious and not at all fun combat reunion party. The invitation included a postscript. Snacks will be provided. For tactical purposes only, of course, ***.